Cappies, oh my Cappies, welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Cappies, we got the Mother and Alithia, Agape, the Crone, and the Starborn. Cappies. Well, I feel like the Mother and the Alithia and the Starborn go together because there's just an idea of identity and having an understanding of what that identity is, and why it is that there is an identity that you need to let go of, and how it is that when you let go of that, it enables you to really rise into your power, which I love. I feel like gratitude. I feel gratitude. Gratitude for, you know, people come into our lives and they show us things about ourselves. I think that's why, well, I don't know, because I don't know where I fall on the spectrum of, well, the idea of like things are divinely orchestrated. If things are divinely orchestrated, how much free will do I have, right? Where do I fall in terms of free will versus destiny, I guess is the question. And I think that yes, we do have destinies. I think that's part of the, like, my fascination with astrology has been, the fact that we have these charts that are like that tell our life story, within reason. Like, it tells the story, but it doesn't tell the story, but it gives a framework for the story. And I feel like destiny is a frameworked story, and we have free will within that of how it can play itself out in our lives, because we have the choice of who we want to surround ourselves with, and who we want to, like, what directions we want to go and why we want to go in those directions. There's free will, but that free will somehow always leads us to our destiny. So do I think there's like a wrong choice that you can make? Not really. No. Well, I take that back. Yes, I do think that there are wrong choices that we can make, because we can make choices, like, if I think that this is my destiny, then, well, I don't know, like, in terms of a relationship. So, okay, we'll go for the whole like twin flame concept here, right? Um, well, because I think that a lot of times twin flames, soulmates, all that kind of stuff, they're like, yeah, I mean, I could definitely say to you that I've had somebody in my life who I thought, like, this person's my twin flame, and and that person did serve as a mirror to me in a lot of ways. And it's funny because even still, when I look, um, it, like, what I see is so vastly different than me, that I question it a little bit. But then also there is that idea that you come in and you spend so many cycles together, and then you cycle in a new direction, right? So, where does that fit in the context of all of that? I don't know, but I do know that if I would have spent my all of my energy saying to myself, "Oh, if I could just get him to love me, if I could just, like, get him to see what I see," I would have wasted a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I wouldn't be where I need to be, because I would have spent too much time exerting all of my energy on the idea of something, because I just knew. I mean, yeah, sometimes we know things, but that doesn't mean that it's like, maybe I just knew that, like, I was supposed to meet this person, to start this line of events, to, like, turn things in a direction. You don't really know why all of the time, right? And yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, like, why that, but there it is. Okay, Cappies. Anyways, identity, because you can identify through things, you can identify through people, you can identify through, I mean, we come into this world given our identities. We're our heritage, our names, our social security numbers, like our birth certificate, we're basically just pieces of property from birth. We're told what religion we're going to be a part of. We're, I mean, like, and yes, we can break out of that, but that's on us. Um, but I think that there's an understanding that you're coming into, um, an understanding of a cycle, a mirroring. Maybe you guys are feeling that too, where you go back and you look just to check, just to see. And what you see is like a vast difference. What you see is a chasm. And I feel like when you see that chasm, it's really easy to turn away. It's really easy to go in the directions that honor your intuition, because I mean, the emperor is like a decision, right? And I just feel like maybe, well, yes, and using your intuition is a tool. Your intuition is a muscle, right? So you have to practice that. You have to flex that. And sometimes you're gonna intuit things, and like maybe it was like a partial intuit. You know what I mean? But like, so you learn to recognize what that energy feels like versus what true and intuiting feels like, right? Because there are different levels to it, and sometimes when we second guess ourselves, we're in that lower level. And so when we go back, we second guess, we lower level, we turn around, we see like that's not what it's meant. That's not it. Now I'm free to go in this direction. I feel like you're free to go in a direction because you recognize what you're not, in the context of another person who I feel like you were gaining an identity through. Yeah, if it's not a relationship, because I feel like that could be very specific, but if it's like, say you're trying to like reach some level in your career, but you're surrounded with people who are, like their focus is in a different genre, or, well, I don't know, because like if you think about like healing in the context of healers, like how many different genres of healers are there? You know what I mean? There's so many energetic workers out there. And then there are, the massage therapists, the, Reiki, or, master energy healers, or shamans, or, hypnotherapists, or, I mean, like the list goes on and on and on. But if I'm identifying through this group of people, then I can't really elevate in the way that I'm meant to elevate, right? And I just feel like this recognition, however it plays out for you, with in terms of a mirror that shows you the direction that you don't actually resonate with, so that you can go in the direction that you do. And I love that. Okay. Cats. Hope everyone's doing well, having a lovely day today. 3 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles. Well, yes, because I feel like when you go in the direction that's like aligned with you, that matches your brand of whatever it is that you're doing. Yes, these are general reads. So you can be dealing with somebody in this energy. You could be in this energy, take what resonates, how it resonates, and leave the rest. But yeah, I mean, you've been putting in the work, right? You've been focused. You've been diligently doing what you needed to do to grow. And I feel like now, instead of feeling like you're proving yourself to people, to whether it's a relationship or a work environment, or, like a community of people, if you're trying to break into something, you know what I mean? Instead of feeling like you're trying to prove yourself, you're seeing that, well, that's just not my genre. That's not my person. Like maybe they were my person for like a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime, but they're not my person this lifetime. And I can't hang on to those lifetimes to try and force this lifetime, if what I'm doing is forcing myself to miss out on what's truly meant for me in this round. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like however that plays out for you. But whatever it is that you're going toward, I think you're going toward it with a recognition that like whatever it wasn't your brand, wasn't your person, it wasn't your whatever, you know? And that's very liberating to you because I think that you're able to really engage in what it is that you're passionate about. And I think when you're engaged in what you're passionate about, you experience a level of healing that I think you were seeking. And I love that because we are here for the heals. Okay, cats. See what else we can get for y'all. Queen of Pentacles, the Lovers, the Hermit, and the Ace of Wands. Well, yes, because I think that whenever you make this decision, whenever you really stop and start to see things a little bit differently, I think you open yourself up to new opportunities. And when you open yourself up to new opportunities, I think you call in, whether it's a job, a relationship, or both. I feel like you call that in because you stop trying to force things that aren't meant to be. You stop trying to, like hold on to something that's not yours to hold on to. I just feel like even if it was, it doesn't mean it still is, you know? And the biggest disservice that you can do to yourself is to hold on to things that aren't meant for you, you know? But we get caught in cycles, and there's no shame in that. But yeah, I mean, the tear and the storm, I just feel like this turning around and looking back. And I think that there is a sadness that you experience when you look back and you realize, well, I think in one hand, there's a sadness when we have to release things that we love. Because even if it's not my brand, I still love that brand. Even if it's not my person, I still love that person. You know what I mean? I'm always going to root for him. Like that's never going to change. But like I don't need to hold on to him. If yeah, I mean, if it's not your area of expertise, then let it go. Go into the area that's where you fit, where you align, because that's when you're really going to start to flourish and to blossom. And that's the goal. All right, Cappies, if this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and sharing your energy with me. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.